Hello, and welcome to this lesson on key skills that are required for a digital transformation. As leaders, what are the skills that you need to develop, and what are the skills that you need to acquire so that you can actually drive this digital transformation? So that's what we are going to see. We will see a brief introduction of all the skills that are required in this video, and then we would have a couple of other videos where we will have a detailed deep dive into few of those concepts, and I will explain them as we go along. So let us dive deep in and just see what are the skills that are required for driving a digital transformation wherever you are, whether you are in a business organization or whether you are in a ministry, in a church, wherever it is that you are. Let us see what are the skills that are required. So when we look at the digital capabilities and the digital skills that are required, I would like to really look at it from a point of view of what we call as the talent transformation system, right? And there are three components of that we will look at from a skills point of view. The first area of skills is in the engagement piece. So as leaders, we will need to develop very excellent engagement skills that will make sure that we are able to engage with our stakeholders and drive this digital transformation. The second group of skills is what we call as the capability itself, right? And what are some of the capabilities that are required for driving the digital transformation? And the third is what type of organization building skills are required for us, right? To build an organization that is called digital, what are the skills that are required? So we will look at it from all these three areas. So first, let us take engagement, right? From the engagement point of view, the leaders of today will need to develop skills that are required to engage a different or diverse stakeholders. Right today, as you know, the issue of diversity is growing, and we live in a diverse world. We live in where thought processes are different, belief systems are different, worldviews are different, racial backgrounds are different, educational backgrounds are different, thinking preferences are different, sexual preferences are different, right? So there is a group of there's a whole lot of issue around this whole concept of diversity and inclusion. So we will need to develop the skills of being able to engage a diverse set of stakeholders, right? Whether and from the different parts of this thing. Actually, we do have another lesson on diversity itself, or how do we manage the diversity in our organizations, and not just manage it, but how do we sort of get the best benefit of diversity for strategically driving our organization to better levels and things like that. So that is very important in digital skills too, because diversity brings in innovation, diversity brings in new ideas, diversity brings in disruption, right? Because without diversity, we will all be probably susceptible to what we call as the groupthink mentality, and that's not going to take us anywhere, and that's certainly not sufficient for driving digital transformation. So that's the first part on engagement. The second part on engagement is we will need to engage with a generation that is born to learn. And as today people youngsters learn at a much faster rate than we used in our generation. So we cannot be, insulated from that fact, and we will need to know what are the ways in which we can engage with that generation which is born to learn, which picks up skills just like that, like a small child who picks up a smartphone, skills without even having to someone having to tell them or teach them. So we will need to really learn how to engage this born to learn generation. The third aspect of skills from the engagement point of view is to know and understand and accept and realize that the world is connected a lot better than it was ever before, right? The explosion of the internet, the explosion of social media, the explosion of mobile devices, the explosion of Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, they have all made various things connected, not just human beings today. Devices are getting connected, self-driving cars, and things that you can operate on from in a remote manner, the air conditioners or the fridges and stuff like that, house locks that you can operate from remote. So there are a lot of things that are interconnected in this world, and we will need to really know how to manage this connectivity, this explosive growth in connectivity that is that the world is going through. So those are the three skills that we need to understand from an engagement point of view: diverse, born to learn, and connected. How do we engage with this type of stakeholders? From a capability point of view, we will need to develop capability to innovate. And when I say innovate, disruptive innovation, right? Think differently, think out of the box, and be able to look at try out things that we have never tried before, and and things like that. Of course, in a right way. I'm not saying try out wrong things, but try out the right things. But also be prepared for failures, and what we call as the fail fast, fail forward philosophy, right? So innovate, and innovation, continuously reinventing what we are doing, what we have been doing, is an essential skill that we will need to develop, right? Never be satisfied with the status quo. Ask, why can't we do things differently? Why can't we make why can't we do it in a different way, in a better way, and things like that. So those are the things that will give you the answers to innovation. Those are the things that will give you new ideas and things like that, and that is what will give you a great competitive advantage when it comes to digital transformation of your organization. The second skill under capability is the narrative capability. And this is where most of people fail, actually, because when we have a solution, when we have a digital product, when we have a digitization idea, how do we present it to the customer? How do we present it to the end user? It needs to be narrated with a direct link to the problem that the user is facing. And so how do we narrate our abilities, our product, our services, whatever it is, not with us in the center, but with the user, end user in the center? How does it solve a problem that the end user is facing? How does it make the life of an end user easier, better, and things like that? Those are the stuff that we will need to look at, and be able to narrate in a manner that is meaningful to the client, right? So that is something that we will need to develop. And of course, the third capability is the digitization of our own self. Get used to the digital gadgets around us, play around with them, fail, make mistakes, but pick that up. I mean, never say that I'm too old to learn these things, or hey, this is not for me, this is not the way I did it, I like the good old way, and stuff like that. Make sure that you yourself get digitized. Invest time in learning digital tools, the apps, the smartphones, the technologies, and and stuff like that, and be able to use them again for obviously connecting with the stakeholders, so that so that your idea becomes acceptable to them and things like that. So that's the second group of capabilities, that skills that we need to develop from a capability point of view: innovative, narrative, and digitize. So these three are the skills that are falling under the capability umbrella. Now, coming to the organization itself, what are the skills that are required from an organization point of view? I mean, one of the first things that today, in a digital world, organizations need to develop is agility. Organizations need to be agile, and so you need to develop that skill of agility. How do we make decisions quickly? How do we not wait for the end of a project to find out that we have done something wrong, right? How do we make sure that the requirements even can be revised within a quick cycle, not that once it is written and then we review it only at the end of the project. So how do we reduce the layers that are required for decision making? How do we make sure that if we fail fast and we fail forward, in the sense that we learn from that mistakes and move on quickly? So those are some of the agile mindsets that we will need to develop, and we will have a separate video lesson on agility itself. The second aspect of skills under the organization umbrella is that we need to make organizations project based. It cannot be hierarchical anymore, because and it cannot be defined by verticals anymore. We need to make it project based. That is, projects which are important for delivering a client value, and that is the major shift that we will need to bring in from an organization point of view, as well as from a skills point of view. The third aspect of organization is make the organization flat, crunch the organization layers that we are used to, reduce the number of approvals, reduce the number of decision making time, what we call as the velocity of decision making, improve, enhance it significantly, empower the people, right? So those are the skills that we will need to require. The fourth aspect of organization from a skills point of view is that today's organizations are global. They're no more in one place. The clients are global. The people who work for us are global. The people who provide services for us are global. And so we will need to understand how do we work in that global environment. So apart from the diversity that I spoke about in the first area, we also need to understand the cultural diversity of various places, and how do we adjust to that quickly and make sure that that our organization remains a global organization. And the last is from an organizational point of view is entrepreneurial, right? How do we really develop that entrepreneurial skills, quick decision making, risk taking, and the ability to say that, hey, look, I don't pass on the buck, in the sense that I take full ownership for my decisions and my failures and my successes, and and things like that. So and go on and try out new experiments and things like that. So those are the five skills under the organization: agility, project based, flat, global, and entrepreneurial. So those are the three areas of skills that we need to develop: engagement, capability, and organization, and within them these various skills that I have spoken about. So some of these skills we will dive a little deeper in other video lessons. For example, we will look at how do we look at agility, and what type of leadership we will need. How do we build, how do we use the concept of servant leadership for driving digital transformation. So those are aspects that we will deal with separately in another video lesson. So get started, look at these skills, and go ahead and develop those skills so that you truly become a digital leader. Thank you.